Hello and welcome to this week's Data Panel. Today I am joined by two fabulous guests. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you both?
Good, thank
Wonderful,
you for having us.
Good to hear. We are going to be discussing the latest developments in data ahead of the Digital Transformation EXPO. So, gentlemen, what I'd like you to do is just introduce yourselves, tell me a little bit about what you do and what company you work for.
Well, thank you for having me again. My name is Aaron Aldrich. I'm the Director of Client Services for Navisite. Navisite is a global managed service provider specializing in hybrid and multi-cloud solutions to our customers.
Fantastic.
And again, thanks for having me. My name is Russell Barley and I work for one IONOS in the Enterprise Cloud Division. So we focus on infrastructure as a service, also backup as a service, and we've just recently released Kubernetes as a service as well.
Fantastic, thank you. So it's well known that organisations now have a huge amount of data. What are some of the common challenges businesses face when trying to better utilise the data within their organisation? It's a bit of a mouthful, but I'm sure you'll be able to answer.
So I'll start as a more customer client-facing response. I think one of the challenges that we see that's quite prevalent is as storage has become less expensive over time, collection of data has been a problem where it becomes we just take everything without a strategy. There's a lack of what a data strategy is, what it should be, what it could be, and how to take that data and actually monetize it to the organization and find value.
What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, very similar. So storage has obviously become a lot cheaper over the course of the last, well, it's getting cheaper day by day really, but over 10 years ago, you were looking at, spending lots and lots of money for a very small amount of storage. It's become a commodity now. So is compute to an extent. And one of, I guess, the challenges for businesses who want to use big data is where to store it. And there's potentially a big investment if they're going to host things on premise, potentially a big investment on compute and storage to host all of that data, and then the processing of it. So I think that's one of the areas cloud has become an enabler for companies who maybe don't have that facility to do the investment, and also gives the ability to only use resources when you need it.
So what critical steps should organisations be taking to make sure they are more effectively managing and using their data?
So I think it boils down to having a well thought through strategy. I mean, I'll probably reiterate that a couple times, but without that strategy, without the technology vision, that you are merely amassing data that provides no value, or worse, actually steers you into wrong direction for market trends.
Yeah, so I agree. It's the business strategy to have the data and the analysis of that data to provide a particular business goal or to suit a particular business objective or initiative is really the key. So rather than it being particularly a data strategy or a legacy IT team's area where they focus on data and its analytics, it should be an overarching business strategy to see where those uses can benefit the business and have projects in place that have a specific outcome using that data and the analysis of it using AI and machine learning or whatever analytics tools you want to use.
Are there certain industries which are lagging behind in their approach to both using and managing their data? And if so, why is that the case?
I think I'll start with maybe some industries that I think use data really well. So industries that have maybe come up from using data to further their business and increase their market share, things like science, medicine, large retail. And then you've got, maybe the industries that haven't adopted that digital transformation and data and analytics as well. Insurance, sales, education. And I'll use insurance as an example. To my knowledge, many insurance companies still use adjusters, risk assessment to determine risk for a certain type of car insurance, for example. And we still use gender, sex, postcode as our main criteria for determining risk. Whereas with the amount of data available to insurance firms from anything from traffic to mobile phone usage to personal history. We should be able to do something with data to make it more personal and more of an accurate risk, I think, as an example.
Yes, I think we look at those legacy institutions that have yet fully adopted cloud strategies, because to utilize, to store, to compute, and to find that value or monetize that data requires an infrastructure that's just not possible typically in today's day and age with an on-prem or traditional colo storage. So we definitely look at financial institutions, and as we've mentioned, insurance organizations or even healthcare systems to try to jump into the cloud for them. There's some limitations potentially on regulatory or mindset challenges within those organizations.
So how much do you see data being discussed at, let's say, board level? Do you think there's enough emphasis on its value in the organisation?
I personally think it's a bit of a mixture. In the experience I've had over the last few years, I've certainly seen data be a discussion point a lot more than it has for the prior 5 years maybe. But I do think it does depend on the industry, and I think quite often it takes either a technology enthusiast or an entrepreneurial type in that business who has the ability to drive that forward, because I think the legacy or the traditional approach to business doesn't always move with technology as fast as technology moves forward. So I think it does take someone within a business to see that and see the business requirement for it.
What do you think, Aaron?
And sitting around board tables over the last 2 years, I haven't seen a real transformative kind of discussion around data. I mean, as today's day and age, we say that data is now the most valuable commodity of many organizations or any organization, but we don't see the investment from that board and the significance placed on maturing their data models, their data strategies, and actually using that data. And I still very much see Excel spreadsheets. I see traditional old database queries that have brought data to that table where the board are making decisions, strategic decisions on their organizations. And it is still kind of a bit of a shock, I suppose, that we're not ushering in the new technologies and the benefits of big data.
So how is the growth of hybrid IT impacting the data strategy businesses have?
So I think hybrid IT we're looking at is caused more of a challenge to a lot of organizations when we start to even get more siloed in our approach of where we're storing data, how we're using that data. Is it compatible across our systems, and what technology are we using to input and kind of output of that data? And we're constantly seeing mismatch in our data sets, which then have a data validity problem where we can't trust the data. So I think we need to really focus on when we're implementing, whether data strategy, cloud strategy, overall technology strategy, a common goal for value.
Yeah, so I think obviously hybrid IT in its many forms has been wonderful for the easy transition for business to maybe reduce costs or increase performance and that kind of thing. But as mentioned, it is harder to manage multiple infrastructures. You have data in secondary locations now. Maybe 10 years ago it was common for your business critical application to contain its business critical data all on the same kind of box, or geographically in the same kind of area. And now it's not uncommon to have your business critical systems even in a different region or different country to most of your business critical data. So having those around the country, around the globe, is difficult to manage. You've got to make sure you're not duplicating your data. You've got to make sure your data is secure. You've got to make sure you know where it is when you need it to be able to use it effectively. So there is challenges around that. So I think with the emergence of the hybrid technologies, you have to look at processes, data strategies to make sure you know where it is, to secure it, and make sure you effectively use the tools that you have.
Okay. So what do you both think are the next biggest trends that are going to be coming up in the market that's going to be impacting organisations, such as yours, that you're using this data at the moment?
I think continuing the use of AI and machine learning to analyse and process data, that's one of the big ones. augmented reality as well. So I know a few people have already made some apps that help visualize that data and manipulate in a visual way, which makes that data easier to understand. And when you have data that's easier to understand, you can make quicker, more reactive decisions.
I think the skill sets that helped to bring that type of value to the table or to the business are really lacking. So I think what we're going to see over the next year or two is really kind of this educational process on bringing those individuals that skill set to help visualize, bringing data out of IT and having someone that can actually understand what it is from the end goal perspective and how they get there with their storage, with their structure of their data, with where they're actually putting it, whether it's multi-cloud strategy or other types of systems, and architecting it in such a way that will hopefully future-proof it for the near year to two out.
So how important is it for organizations to have a data strategy to be part of the digital transformation?
I was going to say I think it's absolutely critical, but it's not just a data strategy. A data strategy alone does not guarantee success by any means. I think, as we've just mentioned, you need your cloud strategy, you need your data strategy, you need your employee educational strategy that goes along with all of these new technologies.
And I think, just as important, all of those have to play a big part in the overarching business strategy as well, because if you have a business objective or a business strategy which doesn't take into account the importance of some of those strategies, cloud, data, then you'll find that priorities and focus are given to main business objectives and you lose focus of what can really drive those objectives forward.
So we spoke about some of the challenges that the industry is facing in general, but in particular for you two and your organisations, what challenges have you been facing? What benefits have you seen, and have there been any further developments in this area?
I think the promise and the hope of machine learning and artificial intelligence to just make sense of large data sets, big data, has been a bit of a reality check. I think there needs to be much more of a strategy behind that. And we see personally on a daily basis with our clients and with ourselves that how missteps early in the process for that design and that architecture cannot be necessarily overcome just by machine learning or AI as it stands today.
What do you think, Russell?
Yeah, I think I've seen the same thing with some of the business I've been a part of, some of the customers we work with, that because they don't have that, I guess, digital transformation and business strategy around it, then they're looking at, big data, they're looking at analytics, and there's a bit of confusion around them, and that they get storage, they get lots of compute, they have loads of data, but they still don't really know how to use it, and even if they do, they don't really know what they're using it for. So it's just that, tying everything up, having the strategy in place, knowing what you want to get out of it, and then having the data and having the right tool, because as we've said, there's still lots of confusion around AI, machine learning, and it's not just you go and pick a tool off the shelf and you get all the results that are going to help your business. There's a lot more consultative process that goes in, and business strategy that needs to pull out the data that's really important to you.
So, in regards to the Digital Transformation EXPO, i.e. IP Expo, as you were saying to me earlier, is there anything that you both like to see different this year, or some new trends or developments happening? Is there anything that's key for you that you're looking out for?
I think for myself and my organization, we're looking to see where there have been successes with either competitors or partners to try and leverage as a community to be better in how we deliver service, how we manage people's data, how we retrieve that for a value to ourselves and to our clients. That's the most important thing of having all of this data, but not being able to produce some sort of ROI on what you have in front of you. Or like I said earlier, worse is to steer your organization into the wrong direction because you're misinterpreting the data. So looking for success stories, looking for what people have done that's been kind of disruptive in their own sense, and leveraging that as a group to better what we do.
Fabulous.
Yeah, I agree. So, having a platform where people can share their success stories and also the things that haven't gone so well. a bit like a GitHub for, data analysis and machine learning and AI and that kind of thing, so people can understand in layman terms, see how other people have used it, get a few ideas themselves. It's almost like a central learning platform where people can share experiences and stories just to gain awareness, really. So I guess it might be a little bit marketing, people are going to advertise their products and people are going to share their stories, but I think it's crucial to allow people to understand how it can help their business and see how others have done the same.
Are there any struggles that you two have particularly had? Like, is there anything that, if you had a magic wand, let's say, and you could make any improvement you wanted, what would that be?
I'd love a magic wand for lots of things. I think just enabling business drivers and businesses to actually see with their own eyes what the use of data and analytics tools can do for them.
Do you not think that's happening at the moment?
I really don't. I think people are aware of it, but people still, and businesses still don't really see with their own eyes how it can really make a difference. I mean, you hear success stories, you hear about how important data is, but I don't think necessarily most people know how to take that theory and make it into practice. And then that kind of grey area in between, here's where I want to be and here where I am now, I think that's, if we can shine a light on the processes and procedures to get from there to there, I think that that would make a huge difference.
No, you stole my answer, but no, I really think it is about the educational process. It's about the inquiry process. It's about getting that board to understand the importance of what data can do for them. I think there's a lag in certain verticals.
Why do you think that is? Like, why aren't people grasping this? What is it down to people? Is it down to technology? What's it down to?
I would say to put the technology aside, because you need that visualization first of what the art of the possible is and what it can potentially do for yourself. And I think that is a big step or even leap for some organizations to take, as it's been more of a traditional model in certain verticals.
Where do you think this is all going to go in the future? I mean, we've seen huge developments over the years. I mean, what would you two ideally like to see happen? You can say iRobot if you want.
I was going to say Minority Report, but it's maybe not a good one.
That is a wicked film.
Certainly not the end of iRobot, maybe. But no, I think, I mean, it is going down that route where we're asking for intelligence and artificial intelligence and computers and machinery to process some of the stuff that we've historically done. And I know in a lot of people's thoughts and a lot of blogs, people are worried that it's going to take jobs and processes away from people. But I think we've seen in the history of technology that that's not always the case, and where one opportunity kind of closes, there's more created around the side, really. So I think it's just moving down an autonomous, automated route where people don't have to worry about the process in between. They know where they want to get to, they see the data, they see the results, and are able to make decisions based on that in an automated way.
Fantastic. So is there anything else that you two would like to add? Is there anything that I haven't asked that you're really eager to discuss or talk about?
Not from my perspective, no.
No, I definitely, kind of love the last answer that we just kind of put forward there on it about intelligent, not only use of the data, but intelligent design of the architecture of the systems, and how that becomes more of an autonomous, real-time activity that helps to bridge what we see today as maybe missteps in technology direction or architecture, and then have to kind of shut down shop to re-architect to move forward, where that can be a much more fluid environment, is something I very much think that we'll see in the near future.
Fantastic. Well, I was hoping for robots to do my washing and my cooking, but your answer is just as good. Anyway, gentlemen, we have in fact run out of time. I want to thank you so much for joining us here today. You've been absolutely fantastic, the pair of you. That is all from us for now. You can see more of these guys at the Digital Transformation EXPO. Thank you and goodbye.